Mr. JD Vance, it's an honor to be with you here in New York City today on September 11th. And what a somber and difficult day for a lot of people. And,
Sure.
and we got a lot to remember.
Yep.
We got a lot to be thankful for today.
That's right.
Well.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
And of course, for people in New York, like I'd never been in New York in my entire life, but sort of gotten to know the perspective of a lot of people since then. And, even just some of the stories I've heard today, like we went to a fire station with President Trump after the memorial ceremony this morning at Ground Zero. And, there's this plaque in the fire station of this guy who died on 9/11, this firefighter who died on 9/11. And there's all these little trinkets and sort of pieces of the guy's life there to memorialize him by. And it sort of hit me that, talking to people and seeing some of this stuff, that he had a son that was born on September the 13th, 2001. So his wife was pregnant with their fourth child. He goes in, he loses his life, and 2 days later, she delivers her fourth child. And I met that kid today. And so his 23rd birthday is in 2 days. And I talked with his older brother and his older sister. And, it's what you realize, I have three little kids. I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old is like each of these kids remembers their dad differently, right? So the guy who was 4 when his dad died, it's just kind of phantoms of a memory, right? He remembers a face or a smile. He has a couple of memories. And then the 8-year-old, she's 31 now, but she was 8 when he died. And 9/11 really did change that, right? You start thinking to yourself like, oh, if this is our generation's, greatest generation moment where we have to go and do what the country requires of us, then I don't want to look back in 30 years and say I had an opportunity to serve. I was a 17, 18-year-old kid, and I didn't answer that call. Both of us were in the same boot camp platoon in Parris Island, South Carolina. So there was this spirit of patriotism that was very real. And not, to get too political about it, but I do, when I look back at that moment and think about what, you had Republicans, Democrats, Independents, everybody kind of united together. And I do think in a lot of ways our leadership screwed that moment up, because you could have done something amazing with that sense of patriotism. And unfortunately, 5-10 years later, it was like we were all back to fighting each other again. But we had something, I think, very special for a couple years after 9/11. I try not to forget that.
I'm with you. It was as tragic as the incident was. I've never seen the country more united.
Absolutely.
Than those months afterwards.
Yeah.